Now for the arms. We're going to start out with a couple different files here. We're going to use this one for the right arm and this one for the left arm. And this one's going to be pretty basic, so we'll do this one because this will be the easy one. And I think with this one we can just use the quick selection tool here. And I'm pretty sure the quick selection tool did a good job with this one here. So let's try it. And that's all we need to get here. We don't need this part here. We're not going to use it. If you wanted to, you could go ahead and select it. It doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and do the whole thing there. Now let's click on Refine Edge. And the edge doesn't look so good on black, but let's go ahead and adjust the radius to around 9 something. And smooth it out to around 60, and I think it should be fine then. And it looks very nice here. The only place that's a little bit off is in here, but I can live with that. And let's make it into a selection. Copy and paste, Control or Command C, and then over in our image here. Let's make sure we're on the top of the torso here. I'm going to actually put it underneath. This needs to go underneath the torso. So let's select the background here, and then when we paste, the new layer will be underneath the torso. So let's go ahead and paste, Control V, and you can see here it is. So I'm going to get the Move tool, and I'm going to move this over here, and now all we have to do is transform it and fit it into place. Okay, so right now the size looks pretty good. I didn't have to do much. I just moved it under there. It's very similar to the shape of the mannequin's body, and I slide it under there and it looks pretty good. Now if you wanted to, you could probably transform it and move the arm a little bit, but I think that's pretty good how it is, and we'll just leave it at that. Okay, the next one that we're going to look at is the other arm here, and it's going to be this one. Now for this arm we're going to have to use a different tool. The quick selection tool is not going to work because of this shadow here, so for this one we're going to use a tool called the magnetic lasso. So the tool is right over here, and by default you probably have the lasso tool here, the L. Underneath here is the magnetic lasso, and the way this works is, again, by trying to find an edge, contrast with the edge. We have a couple parameters here that we can look at. We can actually add a feather on here if we wanted to, but we're not going to. Anti-aliasing gives us a smoother edge. With anti-aliasing turned off, the pixels are either on or off. There's no gray or in between, so it's either white or black. And we want a smooth transition there. So the width here is going to set the distance from the edge to look at for the path. So that's going to the distance from the edge to consider for the path here, 17 pixels. So we can adjust that if we need to, but for now we're just going to leave it there. And this sets the contrast of the edge, so it makes it easier to find sometimes if we need to. The frequency is the amount of points which are added to the path. So how many points get added, how often we get points here. And depending on how complex the selection is, you're going to have more or less points. So I'm just going to leave these with these numbers here. I had 17 for the width, the contrast 10, the frequency 57, and let's see how it does here. Okay, so I'm going to click where I want to start, and I'm going to drag. I don't have to hold down the mouse, but what I want to do is I want to follow the edge with the cursor here. So I want to get as close to the edge as possible, and I'm just going to follow the edge. And I'm not clicking anything at all. It's putting its own anchor points there, and that's what the frequency is, again, depending on the complexity of the selection here. So right now it's just following along the edge. I'm going really slow and I'm following the edge here, and we're going to go around the finger here and see if it follows it. It seems to be doing a really good job, which means we have the settings right. Now that time didn't quite follow it here. So what I'm going to probably have to do is I'm going to have to click on the inside of the fingers here and make an anchor. So I'm going to click there. I made my own anchor. I'm going to click again, and I'm going to click here, and then we're going to follow it again. So sometimes you have to tell it when to put anchor points when it can't find an edge. And it looks like it didn't find it there. So if I have to, if it drew an anchor point in the wrong place, I just hit the delete key and start again. Okay, so sometimes you have to just go slow until it makes an anchor point, or I'm just going to click and make my own. The inside of the hand here again. And zooming in right here would probably help, but I seem to be doing okay here, so. Oh. Again, sometimes we just have to back up when it does something like that, and we might have to click to make our own anchor point. It looks like in the webbing here, each time it's making me click and make my own anchor point. And sometimes you just have to slow it down till it makes an anchor, or like I said, click. So I'm clicking whenever it's not really quite following where I want it to go. But otherwise it's doing a very decent job of following the edge. Ooh. And I just need to follow along here. I don't need the shirt there. Now, when we get back to where we started, the cursor is going to look like this. And then I click, and then it's going to convert to a selection here. Now, same thing. I'm going to go and look at the Refine Edge tool and see how it looks on black. And you can see this selection is a lot smoother than the other tool that we used before, the Quick Selection tool made. And that's because we're actually telling it where to create the selection. So Smart Radius is not going to be appropriate. This is what it does. It's not going to work on this because we already have a nice edge here. So we might want to just smooth it out a little bit. And I'm going to smooth it to about 60 here. Everything's really good. I kind of messed up on my selection here. And I could have got it better if I would have zoomed in, but close enough for government work here. So if I needed to, if it was really bad here, I might shift the edge a little bit. And that didn't really help, but we'll leave it at that. Still, it looks really, really good. All this area around here, except for the place where I screwed up here. So I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to copy and paste. Now it's underneath the body here, so I'm going to get the Move tool, V, and drag it out over here. And then Transform, Control T, and then I'm just going to move it till I get it going in the right angle here, the angle that I want it. And I want the shoulder to fit a little bit better there. So probably about like that. Again, you can use the arrow keys to really get precise if you need to. There we go. That looks pretty good. Alrighty then. Now we got both arms. And we'll look at doing the legs next.